Hello student, welcome to my class of computer science for class 12th. Today student we are going to understand some web services. Under that we learn some web terminologies and internet terminologies which are as follows. First one thing we will learn today what is web page, then website, then web browser, and at last web server. So let's begin student. So web page student. A web page actually a HTML document student, as we have learned in earlier video. The HTML actually hypertext markup language by which we can create website or web page. So web page actually HTML document which can be displayed in a web browser. And now we are going to understand first what is web browser. A web browser is a software which is application software, okay, which interpret the HTML document. That means to say it will check the coding line by line, okay, of HTML document and display them in a human readable form or show that in a design format, okay. For example, the web browser are Firefox, Google Chrome, Opera, Microsoft Internet Explorer or Edge or Apple Safari. Okay, so these are also often called just pages. Now we are going to understand what is website. A collection of web pages which is grouped together and usually connected together in a various way, like using hyperlink, using some kind of buttons, okay. So these are particular called website, like facebook.com, okay, like indiancookery.com. So these are actually the website. Now web server. In earlier video you have learned what is web server. It is also one of the services that provided by the web service, okay. So web server actually it is a software as well as hardware also, but in term we are going to understand what is web server in software term. So a web server is a host website, okay, that return a web pages to the web client. That means to say, for example, any website we can say that abc.com, okay, that is a itself a website. So web server actually responsible to respond your information. I am to say give you the response to as in the form of respond of your request. Example, Apache Tomcat, Microsoft Internet Information Services, okay, Windows Server, and different server you can see that, okay. So student, web server is actually a software which is responsible to respond your request as in the form of response, okay. So we are talking about the software term. So web server, a computer, powerful computer, you know about that, as well as a web server is a software also, okay, like Apache Tomcat, Internet, Microsoft Internet Information Services like IIS, Windows Server. These are the software form of the web server. Now we are going to understand domain name. So student, domain name is a address of your website that people type in browser URL bar and visit your website. Definitely we have learned about what is domain name, like www.google.com. This is a domain name, okay, but in computer terminology this is considered or translated by DNS, domain naming system, to the 32-bit numerical address, that is IP address. So it means to say every website has a numerical IP address by DNS, that is domain naming system. The particular name, I am to say IP address, that is 32-bit IP address converted to the domain name, and domain name is the address of your website. Now we are going to understand web hosting. Web hosting is the place, student, where all fields of your website lives. It means to say you can access whatever your field have, okay. It like the home of our website where it actually lives, okay. A good way to think about this, if the domain name is address of our house, it means to say website name is our house, then web hosting is the actually house that address points to. Okay, all website on the internet need web hosting. Domain name and web hosting are two different services. Okay, so domain name means website address and web hosting is services by that we can access this particular what thing, domain name or website. However, they work together to make website possible. It is possible with the system known as DNS that I teach you just now, domain naming system. Student, I hope you have learned today the web services and its terminology, which are web pages, website, web browser, web server, domain name and web hosting. I hope you have learned well. Till then, thank you and have a nice day, student.